in case, the air has not been cleared, guys, is that it's simple fact that infrared cannot be stopped. Infrared cannot be stopped. You understand? We are in the nascent stages of our growth right now. We're like a baby in the cradle right now. Infrared cannot be stopped. We are going to continue streaming. We're going to continue growing. We're not going anywhere, okay? Unless we are all, you know what I'm saying? This has been a long time in the making, this whole thing. A lot of people don't want us to grow. A lot of people saying shit like, oh, I don't think we should be giving these guys attention. It's bad for the left. Oh, I don't want a left where these guys are going to be popular. It is inevitable. Infrared cannot be stopped. You're going to wake up one day. You're going to see that we're big. You know what I'm saying? You're going to wake up one day and you're going to see, I got 250 viewers here, right? We're in the nascent original stages of our growth. A lot of people really don't want to see us grow. I'm telling you this. A lot of people just don't want to see it. A lot of people look at infrared and they think smugly to them, oh, they're not going to grow. I hope they don't grow. And they try to talk shit on us because they're trying to put the brakes on this train. But the train keeps on moving, you know what I'm saying? It cannot be stopped. Infrared simply cannot be stopped. A lot of people are mad. A lot of people are going to get mad over that fact. But the fact of the matter is that we're not going anywhere. This has been a long time in the making, guys. Been a long time in the making. We've been very observant of what's been going on in the left for a long time. And now we're finally putting our foot on the door and we're saying it's time for infrared to see the light of day. And all of us knew for a fact when infrared sees the light of day, it's just going to be growing. Because nobody's seen anything like us. Okay? Nobody's seen anything like us. I haven't seen anything like us. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? The Western, specifically American left, long time coming, they're going to need a big rude awakening from people like infrared. It's been a long time coming, guys, okay? So it may seem like a lot of people skim us, a lot of people sleep on us, right? Because of arrogance. They see us, they say, oh, these people only have 2,000 views on their video. That means they must not be that big. They must not be that significant. No, you're wrong, man. We just out of this shit. We're fresh out of the, So those of you in the chat, props to you guys in the chat right now. Props to the viewers right now. You guys are witnessing something that is destined to be big. I'm telling you, you're gonna see 250 views one day. You guys are the first ones here because as far as I'm concerned, especially this goes out for our regular viewers, you guys are the OGs who don't care about the opinions of the sheep. Y'all watch our shit because you can see it. Even though we don't have the thousands of views to confirm it, you can individually see infrared's gonna amount to something big, So props to you guys. And by the way, guys, when we do get big, I'm gonna remember every single person that was here from the start. Because you guys are the founders. You guys are the original vanguard of infrared, the founders of infrared, the ones who believed in us, even though we didn't get that validation from all these people, especially all those people who talk shit down. I don't really want infrared to get big. I'm not really comfortable with it. You guys are the ones who've been the vanguard OGs from the very beginning. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? When we get big and we're going to start needing mods and shit, I swear to God, all of you guys I'm seeing in the chat, you're going to be first priority, okay? You're going to be first priority. 200 views is a lot for a live stream. It's a fuck ton, right? That is a lot. We average 30, 40 viewers per stream, okay? So that is a lot. That's a lot to me, at least, okay? And to us. And beyond 250, it might even get more. But I'm saying at least 250, right? At least 250. That's realistic. Eventually. The left in America is going to reckon with infrared. A reckoning is coming. We are literally the same thing as Bane in the League of Shadows when they're coming into Gotham. You don't know who we are. You don't know where we came from. But the American left is going to reckon with us. I promise you that much.
How the hell did Miranda take at the inside track on the Wayne board?
Listen.
She'd been meeting with...
This guy is BreadTube. He's the established left. He's the type of left that's looking down at infrared, talking shit on infrared.
With him, she'd been sleeping with
Okay,
him.
exactly.
Clearly you don't know much of anything, do you? Where's Bang?
Look at them. They're complaining about infrared.
Speak of the devil and his son.
This is us, guys. This is us. Basically, this is us.
Appear.
What the hell is going on?
No plan is proceeding as expected.
Oh, really?
This is Neon. This is fucking Neon. You know what I'm saying? This is Neon. This is Ray. This is all those people from that website that was talking shit on us. That's that guy.
like I'm running Wayne Enterprises right now? You're hit on the stock exchange. It didn't work, my friend, and now you have...
You guys don't make sense. You're Merkelist and you're third worldists. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You're saying we live in socialism? You gotta get the fuck off the internet.
Have my construction crews going around the city at 24 hours a day. How exactly is that supposed to help my company?
This is Neon talking shit, all that shit on us. Ready?
Believers.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
That was this. The guy in the back is Ray. When Ray got the fuck out because I beat him in the debate.
In charge.
Look at that. See this? This is to Neon. All those people talking shit on us. Ready? This is what it's like.
Do you feel in charge?
I've paid you a small fortune.
This gives you power over me?
What is this?
Your money and infrastructure have been
Your clout and your attention, Neon, and all you haters out there.
important till now.
What are you?
I've Gotham's reckoning. Yet
We are the American left's reckoning, guys. That's what we are.
and the borrowed time you've all been living on.
Pure evil.
I'm necessary evil.
Exactly. That's exactly what Infrared's about. That's the type of vibes we're projecting, and everyone can see it. You guys are gonna see the plot is gonna thicken. Gotham City's got some reckoning with Infrared. I'm telling you, Gotham City's got some reckoning with Infrared. We're gonna have implications for the American. I'm talking about implications. You know what I mean, for the American left, and we simply cannot be stopped. We simply cannot be stopped. Who can stop us? We are putting our bait out there because we want Vosh and we want all these people to come after us because they don't know what they're getting into, guys. They don't know what they're getting into. Anybody who wants to debate Infrared, they don't know what they're fucking getting into. They're unleashing a monster. They have no idea what plans Infrared's got in store for the American left. You know what I'm saying? Look at me, you know what I'm saying? Plot thickens. You know, I'm rubbing my hands together because I know the plot is thickening. And I know we're going to be clipped and shipped. We're going to be spread around. It's only a matter of time. We're going to go viral like that. There is no brakes to be put on this train of Infrared. Now, with that being said, this is what this stream is actually about. This one specifically, right? Because there's a reason I'm doing this stream specifically today on Tuesday, right? Is the days pass, we're going to keep on this train of thought. And there's no brakes on this train. But I want to do a quick little educational stream because all I see nowadays is that I'm seeing this phrase of capitalism and capital, and everybody's using these phrases, and I feel like it's about time we return to the basics. And I want to reintroduce you guys to Marxist capital. So all the bullshit you got in your head, about Marxist capital, and all the things these fake Marxists are teaching you, these fake leftists are teaching you, everything you've been seeing on YouTube, I want you to turn it off for 1 second, and I want you to be a baby newborn from the cradle, and we're going to go down from scratch, and we're going to talk about Marxist capital. We're going to talk about the meaning of capital. We're going to go down back to the basics. It's exactly what Infrared does. So let's get right into it. And this is going to be a visual-heavy stream, and we're going to use visual illustrations for this. So the first question is a simple question. What is capital? What is capital? I mean, what is that? What is that word referring to? What is this? This word you've seen all around all the time, right? It's condensed in this formula. You guys probably know about this formula. MCM. It's as simple as this. But first, let's not take anything for granted. Let's not take a single thing for granted in this, okay? I don't want us to take anything for granted. Don't think you know. You don't know. You're a newborn baby in the cradle. We're all in this boat together. We're going to go from scratch. What is this? What's going on here? MCM. So we're going to deal with MCM in two ways. Space, concepts, the discrete concepts that are involved in this operation, time. Because this is a temporal formula. MCM. Okay? So we have money, commodity, and then more money. That's what more money means. So conceptually, this is what's going on. In time, this is where the bad assumptions are being made about the meaning of this MCM. And it's begin with money, invest in commodity, gain more capital. This is the sequence. Supposedly. This is where people really fuck up, is the time part. Now, so far, it's so simple right now. Do you all follow me that this is capital? You begin with money, you're going to invest that money into something, commodities. In return, you get more money. That's the elementary circuit, okay? Remember, this is a circuit. Think in cybernetical terms. That's the elementary circuit of capital. Y'all follow me or no so far? I'm breaking it down as simple as possible right now. Define money as distinct from currency. Don't worry about it, Great Gaddafi's goes. Just think about money in your head. Don't worry about the whole thing. Y'all get it. Okay, what's up, neat feet? You guys get it. Okay, great. The first element in this circuit of capital is something called money. Now, these dumbass Marxists who come talk shit about us and come talk down to us and talk shit to us, they think they know what this is, but I guarantee you they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't even know what this is, money. Don't take anything for granted, guys. Think about everything critically. Think about everything deeply. This ain't nothing to fuck around with, guys. This ain't nothing to fuck around with. Let me tell you something about money. Money is a strange thing. It's existed for so long. And what is money related to? Money is related to religion. Yeah. You know that, guys? Did you know that? It's sacred. It's related to metaphysics. It's related to philosophy. It's related, you can even say, to cosmology. Money is very deep. Money goes deep, guys. There's a reason on the US dollar, and I'm not going into schizo territory, there's the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. Why is that? I'm going to get to that. I'm not talking about Illuminati conspiracy posting. It's a really simple reason, okay? We're going to get to it. Money's never something you should take for granted. Oh, we just have money, and money just lets you buy shit. That's from the perspective of a layman. But I want you guys to take a deeper perspective. I want you to take the perspective of a philosopher, a theologian, somebody who thinks, someone who has an expansive view of things. I don't want you to think of it from the terms of a layman. Because from a layman's perspective, yeah, money's the shit I go to the gas station and buy 7-Up from. Okay, money I go buy Mountain Dew with it. Nah. What is money, though, on this deeper level? When you think about it expansively, you understand? What is money? First things first, historically speaking, anyone in the chat want to correct me if I'm wrong? Go ahead, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's some exceptions. But for the most part, money is denominated legally by the polity. This is the first thing. Actually, one of the things that define an empire or some kind of central authority or a polity historically, the easiest thing is monopoly over printing. Monopoly over printing coins. Okay? In, I think it was the Roman Empire and many other countries, printing fake coins, printing coins outside central authority is execution. It's nothing to fuck around with. Another fun fact, in many polities and empires, such as the Roman, money printing was religious. They did it near temples. How do we only have 23 viewers, by the way, guys? Like, I'm dropping so much. It's okay. The 23 that are here, you're at the vanguard. You're getting it before anyone else. This is something a lot of people don't... When people think of money, what do they think? Oh, there's shit in my pocket. I'm going to go to the gas station, buy some Mountain Dew. I'm going to buy some cigarettes. No. We want to take a more expansive view of what money is, right? Think about it like this. Money is religious. Money is political. Money is metaphysical. Money equals fiat currency. That's way more complicated. We're not going to go there. Way more complicated. So, now that we've established that, let's think about a few things that we know about money. What do we know about money? Layman. Simple. We know that money can be exchanged for shit goods. Right? Everyone knows that. So much money equals so much of a quantity of goods. But I want you guys to think about something. Why is there money? And what does it mean that there is money? Now, most of you are going to say money exists a medium of exchange. We're not arriving at money yet, because then why not bartering? then why not only bartering, direct exchange? What does it mean that there is something called money? Matt J, the debt thing is really interesting, but we're not going to even go there. We're going to go on such a simpler level before then. Why not only bartering, direct exchange? Well, what money bears witness to, more or less, let's put this dividing line here, is on the one hand, the sum of all goods and services on the one hand, and the abstract medium in which they are all represented. What is this line right here? This line right here is the reason there's money. There's a division. There's some kind of original division, some kind of split that allows us to divide or abstract from the sum of all goods and services into some kind of tangible medium we call money. But that bears witness to a division. If money isn't just exchange, but it's abstract, what abstract position does money presuppose in relationship to the whole of being? Okay, because let me represent it to you in another way. On the one hand, you've got this cliff right here, and you've got someone like Neon standing on the cliff, just like anyone else. I'm not picking on Neon. It could be anyone. They're looking on the cliff, and somehow they're elevated above all goods and services, all things that can be exchanged in general. This is like a pit. Over on this pit, you've got all this shit, and then money puts you right here. Money puts you in this vantage point. Money gives you this bird's eye view, in a sense, where you're above it all, because money abstractly represents all of it. Does this make sense so far or no? Whoever said supply and demand, stop trolling. I want to talk briefly about exchange. What is exchange and why? If people can understand this, they're going to stop committing the stupidity of misunderstanding what private property and capitalism is. People think private property and capitalism is a system someone implemented before the fact, and that someone said we should all have private property, and were it not for someone saying that and issuing that by decree, we would already live in communism. But there's actually a material reason why exchange is necessary. A material reason why exchange is necessary, and it's very simple. We're going to do more of this bullshit abstractions. So let's say we have here Neon, and then we have Ray. Why is it that they must enter into a relationship toward one another through some kind of exchange? First and foremost, forget about money first, through some kind of exchange, okay? I have shit, and he has shit. The reason is very simple. The reason isn't because someone created a system that says you have to be separate, but because they are originally separate. Because keep this in your mind if you have to remember anything. Social relations are not given. Let's say they're born on different parts of the planet, and they're going through the Silk Road or whatever, exchanging goods. How else could they enter into some kind of relationship if not then by measuring here's my shit, what is a fair equivalent between the two? This seems like it's all simplistic and it's all intuitive and it's all given, but some people just don't think about this. Especially the way people talk about capitalism and private. This is why it's stupid, right? Because there's a material reason why it's necessary. Don't knock on an open door. It's not because there's some conspiratorial system that's put in place. There is no such thing as a capitalist system. The word system, I'm not going to represent it here, system and capitalism have no relationship whatsoever. You understand? System is a cybernetic word. Capitalism is not a system because it's not premised by some kind of... Nobody says, let there be capitalism, and then there's capitalism. Capitalism is the culmination. What about family relations? It's very related, but we're not going to get into it here. Within families, you have communism, basically, historically. So, we understand the material reason behind exchange. That's the most simplistic point we're going to make so far, but it's leading off to this. But how are prices determined? Neat. Can you chill? We're going back to the basics. Pretend you're in kindergarten right now, because a lot of Marxists need to. Okay, exchange. Why is there money? Well, here's what money means. So, we're going to come back to Neon here. We're going to have Neon here, and we're going to have Ray right here again. And we're going to give him a tail because he's like a furry weirdo. What is really going on when currency entered the picture in this exchange? We just did kind of explain bartering. With bartering, right, here's his shit, here's Ray's shit, and here's Neon's shit, and this, and with bartering, right, you're going to have so much of this be exchanged for so much of this. That's what's going on with bartering. But when money enters the picture, instead of these squares, he's just going to have a little coin, some currency. And with money, you're going to use this little thingy. What do you guys think? Are we being a little bit generous to Neon with what this looks like? Okay. He's taking a big piss in Ray. Okay, sorry. I'm really fucking it up here. Money is being used to purchase this so he can have this shit. Okay? But what is this curious little thing? This money, this piece of currency, this gold coin. What is this thing? What's going on? What's going on with this, right? We just explained that money basically purchases for all exchangeable goods and services. What this means, more or less, okay, we remember some things. Money exchanges for all goods and services, and also it's political. Monopoly by polity, authority. So, you've got these two guys, and somehow this little thingy is kind of cock-blocking them, right? They want to hug and kiss and just have a direct exchange of goods. A mutually agreed on resource for the sole what are you talking about, dude? We got to be more fundamental, more simple, okay? Somehow these two enter into exchange, and this thingy right here is intervening and cock-blocking them, basically, right? They have to make a count with this abstraction in order to enter into some kind of social relation. This way, the social relation, in a sense, is mediated. Not just the social relation is mediated, not just as between two parties, but through the polity. This is where we're getting on the money, okay? Through the polity. Because when they're using money, the social relation isn't just going to be mediated through... So I have some shit. So, okay, Neon has some shit and Ray has some shit. And they want to exchange their boxes, right, directly. And in this way, that would be two parties entering into a social relationship purely based on the exchange of the goods, bartering. But what money means is that there's a third something that's mediating their relationship. You understand? You get your neat. Money is alienating. Yes, it's alienating. And money is an abstraction. But who says alienation is bad, right? Money abstracts from, you understand? This is what money is. Okay. You guys follow. Good. Now, remember that cliff representation I just showed you? What does that also bring to mind? It brings to mind the Lion King or something, right? You've got this king over here sitting on his cliff, and then you've got these little guys. You just got a bunch of fucking people, right? Got a bunch of people. Not only do you have a bunch of people, but you also have all the things in the land. And then you got all the goods and services and all this shit, right? Simple, right? Forget about hierarchy, okay? This represents what? The polity. This is the polity, right? And the realm is something I think specific to feudalism and Middle Ages and Christianity. But let's just say lands, people, and things over which it exercises dominion. So you have this on the one hand, but there's a one-to-one relationship between this and currency, money. Is everybody else following me or what? You guys get it? Neat, yes, continue. Okay. Neat says continue, we're going to continue. Okay. Never be frugal with an abstraction is the lesson here. Why is that? Now, in our head, in layman's head, our head, money abstractly exchanges for all commodities. All commodities in our head. But this is something unique to modernity and to capitalism. Why is that? What am I getting onto here? Guys, it's okay. I'm glad he's being... I'd prefer someone be honest. There's nothing wrong if you can't follow. Okay? Why is this unique to modernity and to capitalism? Because before capitalism, the range of commodities for which money exchanges for is determinate and finite. Determinate and finite. What is meant by that? Now we're going to go before capitalism. In this case, the currency, this means currency, okay? The currency exchanges for, let's say, let's just say grain. We're going to say grain, we're going to say silk, swords, right? Because you can think of a blacksmith. I haven't defined capitalism at all, guardsmen, yet. I haven't done that yet, okay? Grain, silk, and swords. Okay, I'm using all these because they're specifically, okay. How are these goods produced? Tradition. Tradition. Understand? Money may exchange for all of these commodities, but all of these commodities are indexes of tradition. Indexes of tradition and determinate, specific, and finite forms of labor that are passed along several generations. For example, blacksmiths. They have a fine art. They pass it to their son, and their son's son, and their son's son's son. And sooner or later, an entire village, region, or even polity can be known for its sword crafting. Right? Same thing goes for everything else. You guys get that or no? So, money is determinate. Money doesn't just exchange. Money does not exchange for all goods and services rendered abstractly. Rather, the abstract rises to the concrete. Meaning what? The abstract abstracts from determinate goods, commodities, and services passed by tradition, for example. Which means this coin doesn't mean all goods and services. Despite the fact that it's abstract, despite the fact that it is abstract, it is concretely abstract. When you think of the king, the polity and money does not refer to power in the abstract, but power over definite land, people, things, services. Tell me if this makes sense. This is a little hard to understand. This is a little difficult to understand. This entire lesson requires reading. No, it doesn't, dude. I've simplified it so much. Money doesn't have value, but we give it value. Guardsmen, you're way too much overthinking it, okay? Just think about what money is as it's used. Don't think about it more deeply. What is money exchanged for? And what original division, how does it change anything if it's definite things but not abstract? Mr. Cyber, I think the point is that it doesn't change directly like in capitalism. In capitalism, there's technological revolution in the forces of production. In pre-capitalism, that's why technological change is so stagnant and slow. It's because, what I said before, the craft is passed along by tradition. The abstraction is static. Despite the medium currency, the art history can be tied to the same abstraction. The abstraction, not quite static, but determinate. Well, I'm going to do a little quick recap. Exchange exists because social relations are determinate and not given. You guys understand this, right? Exchange exists because the social relations are determinate and not given. The simplest type of exchange is neon selling grain to, what's that guy's name? Ray, in return for some pelts. In that way, the only social relation created is between Neon and Ray, two actors. But, okay, I just chose the wrong square, I don't give a fuck. But This supposes we are just atomized individuals. In reality, we are already in some kind of social relation. Proof of this is money. Because with money abstracts from this and exchanges for all goods and services. In that way, what is being exchanged between Neon and Ray, some kind of abstraction regards to the goods. I'm not planning any of this. All this is coming out of the top of my head, so bear with me, guys. So, some kind of abstraction, which means the polity which prints the money, coins, already intervenes somehow between them. Make sense? This is the recap so far. Exchange exists because social relations are determinate and not given. In order for us to enter into some kind of relationship, we have to do so in a determinate way. The simplest type of exchange is bartering. But from the narrow perspective of bartering, the whole social relation is only created by two individuals entering into intercourse by means of exchange. But this is not true, because we're not atomized individuals. We belong to some bigger whole, some bigger collective. And these collectives enter into determinate relations, different polities, right? I don't want to complicate it too much. The proof of that is money, right? With money, instead of just two individuals exchanging goods, you're exchanging for goods what is a medium that abstractly represents all goods and services, okay? In this way, the polity intervenes in the relationship between the two individuals already. What this bears witness to is the fact it is not just two individuals isolated from the social whole. What is being exchanged between these two individuals is the very determinate way in which the social whole, abstractly denominated in money, represents all goods and services. I know that's really complicated, okay? This is the recap so far. Okay, and we'll do the before and after capitalism. The thing about taxes, I can't read your name because it's in Japanese, I think. But I'm not getting into why and how, right? I'm not getting into that yet. But yes, it's about taxes, more or less, from a pragmatic perspective, right? But I don't want to complicate it more, you know? I just want to make this as simple as possible. But don't be fooled by your intuition. Don't be fooled by your intuition. Because, as Nietzsche pointed out, money may be abstract from all goods and services, but before capitalism, all goods and services is a finite range. You don't see it? Oh, fuck, because I'm in the way. You're right. Let me just get the fuck out of here. Here you go. On this last point about all goods and services as a finite range, this is also true politically. In modern societies, the state has abstract power. In the pre-modern society, a polity does not have universally abstract power. In the pre-modern society, the polity, is not a Hobbesian, total sovereign. The range of people and goods over which it exercises dominion is acknowledged to be finite. Now, let's bridge this. What am I fucking doing? Let's bridge this to something else. Let's ask a simple question. I want to ask you as a question. Pick your brains. What is the uniquely modern abstraction for which money relates to all commodities? Maybe I should have explained the commodity form first, but it's okay. I'm doing all this at the top of my head, okay? Relates to all commodities in general. And not just all determinate commodities. All possible commodities, and not just all determinate commodities. For which money relates to all possible commodities, not just the determinate commodities. This is a question of metaphysics. Okay? Don't let this word intimidate you. I want to really simplify it. What is the uniquely modern abstraction for which money relates to all possible commodities, not just the determinate commodities? What do I mean by this? This is our big question. And what do I mean by this? Well, do you guys remember how I brought up the Illuminati pyramid on the dollar? And I said there's a reason for this? Why is this on the dollar? It's true for all money in general. But why is this on the dollar? The all-seeing eye. Why is this on the dollar? Because the all-seeing eye, what is it seeing? Money is an all-seeing eye. Money is an all-seeing eye which sees all goods, services for which it exchanges. That's why. That's the connection there. So I want you guys to get this in your head. Money is an all-seeing eye which sees all goods, services for which it exchanges. That's why there's this eye on the eye. That's my take on it, at least. That's how I think about it, at least. Neat. It's not just that money is our God. Money is the concrete realization of God in the world. We're going to get to it, guys. This stuff goes deep, okay? I'm telling you, this stuff goes deep. We're just scratching the surface right now, and I'm simplifying it. But, crucially, all goods and services is not a finite range series, but infinitely all possible goods and services in general. What does that mean? Infinitely all possible goods and services in general. A paradox. What this means paradoxically, money is an all-seeing eye, but also absolutely blind to specific commodities. It sees all, and it is also blind to all. What does that remind you of? I want to see if anyone gets this. Money is an all-seeing eye, but also absolutely blind to specific commodities. It sees all, and it is blind to all. What is that? That's a paradox, right? What does that remind you of? It should remind you of this. Right here, right? The law, the state in modernity, after modernity. The rule of law. Blind justice. We're talking about the exact same things here, guys. These are all the same fucking thing. You understand? These are all the same fucking thing. Before modernity, it's not the case. Before modernity, the all-seeing eye sees a finite range. After modernity, the all-seeing eye is all in general, abstractly. You see? Connection makes sense? See, I wasn't going to enter conspiracy territory. It's as simple as that. Money is an all-seeing eye, but it's also absolutely specific blind. So, let's go back to this question of metaphysics. There are some theological underpinnings. Correlations, at least. We don't want to speak about causes because we're materialists here, right? But there's at least some correlations to this modernity theologically. Specifically, the Protestant theology ontology. What are some things you guys know about Protestant theology and ontology? What are some things you guys know? Well, theologically, what is the nature of God in Protestantism? And speaking on ontology, what is the nature of being in Protestantism, right? In Protestantism, God is blind, arbitrary, cruel, but just. I'm butchering this. I know this is not unique to Protestantism specifically, but just let this click something in your head at least, right? I could put it a lot better than this, right? This is not my best. I didn't plan any of this. This is off the top of my head. Yeah, wrathful, right? This all wraps back to Anglos. It does. The Dutch and the Anglos. It absolutely does, SS1. I'm not even kidding about it. It actually does. And it's not like an anti-Anglo racism. Ontologically, this is the most important part. A world of total depravity. You guys know what this means? A world of total depravity? It means everything is depraved by virtue of being material. Doesn't matter what it is. You guys see? See the connection? These are precedents to the abstraction that gives rise to modernity, what we call modern abstractionism. Modernity. Have you heard of modern art, guys? What defines modern art? Do you guys know what defines modern art? Abstraction. You understand? You guys starting to connect dots here or what? And then this is not even the esoteric part, Great Gaddafi. The esoteric part is when I trace it to Gnosticism, and I show how Gnosticism gives rise to both Protestantism and Renaissance humanism, and the Medici banking family and what they were doing with France, and how these different, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy when you wrap all of this together. But I'm not going to even go there. But this is not the esoteric part, Greg Gaddafi. These are just connections I want you guys to make in your head. Abstraction for its own sake. SS1 baby, I'm pinning your comment. That's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealing with here. He just said it. The guy just said it. He just said it. He just said it. The ontologization of abstraction. Negation. Abstraction for its own sake. Negation for its own sake. You guys get it? This is the point, guys. Because abstraction is nothing new. All societies have abstraction. This is what is unique. Right here. This is what is unique. In a sense, abstraction and negation becomes ontologized as its own type of God. It becomes worshipped. Abstraction and negation itself, in general, in the abstract, period. That's how you think about modernity. And you can tie it back to Protestant theology. You can tie it back to Gnosticism. But I don't want to get into Gnosticism because it's too five-head, right? We're just gonna... No, don't worry about postmodernism, okay? It's a term that's thrown around. Most of the time when people are talking about postmodernism is bullshit, okay? But this is what's unique to modernity right here. The ontologization of abstraction and negation for its own sake. See that? For its own sake. Now that's a funny thing. Tell me why that's a funny thing. Abstraction for its own sake and negation for its own sake. That's a funny thing. Because how can abstraction or negation, devoid of any determinate content, itself be real? Agnosticism also sees reality as inherent. Yes, exactly, SS1. You get it. You get it. It's pretty much that. But I don't want to get into it too much more than that. But now, this is a funny thing what I just deleted before and I showed you. How can abstraction or negation, devoid of any determinate content, itself somehow be real? For a Marxist or dialect thinker, it can't. But what can it do? What can it do? This metaphysical position, this posture, what can it do? What can it do, guys? This blindness I'm talking about to reality, this utter, complete blindness. What can it do? We know that it can't itself somehow be real if we're Marxists and if we're dialectical thinkers. And for Marxists and dialectical thinkers, you have the rising from the abstract to the concrete. Every abstraction only disguises a concrete of some kind. So this metaphysical posture, we would say, is wrong. But even if it's wrong, in practical terms, what did it do historically? What can it do? It can free us from prejudices we have about the nature of determinate being. You want to know what's also tied to this, guys? Because everything ties together if you're a dialectic thinker. Modern science. What is modern science if not this same blindness? According to modern science, nature is the world of Protestant total depravity. It is utterly and completely indifferent and blind to us humans. And the main thing that we have to do scientifically is excise from the investigation into nature our human biases and prejudices, right? These are all the same thing. When I said I reject modern science, guys, I wasn't doing it from the chakra perspective. I'm literally doing it from the dialectic perspective. This is why. Because for dialectics, this can't be real. But for modern science, only abstraction or negation is actually real. I'm simplifying shit. I know a lot of butthurt scientists are going, no, but understand why I'm saying what I'm saying, okay? And I'm trying to simplify this. Even though it can't be real, it can free us from prejudices we have, but the nature of determinate being. And now I want to ask you guys this question. What are examples of this prejudice? Well, we just talked about pre-capitalist societies and why they are technologically stagnant. Aren't those examples of a prejudice? They're examples of prejudices about the nature of determinate being as eternal, unchanging, and fixed. You guys follow me here so far or what? 2 people saying they follow, no one else gets it. You get it neat. You guys, there's a professor I used to have. I actually like this professor, but he'd always be like, do you guys follow or am I speaking in vain? Am I speaking in vain or what? You guys following? Okay, like 5 people say they get it. I don't know what the fuck else the 30 people watching this are doing in the chat. Well, I don't know if there's 30 people in the chat, but I know there's more people in the chat. Actually, there's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 people in chat right now. That's fine. So everyone who's in chat says they get it, apparently. Okay, we can move on. What do you mean by prejudices? Good. Okay, good. What I mean by prejudices, neat, is I basically mean the determinate universality, this is a loaded phrase, term, before modernity that privileged one type of supreme ontology or relationship to being, one metaphysical posture, if you will, which is why before capitalism there was no change, basically. Well, there was change, but there was no modern change. What's up, Hero? How you doing? Hero come from Turkey. What's up, man? There was change. There was revolutions in the forces of production, but they were not initiated from this kind of, in this rapid and individual way, like in capitalism. So, if we're blind to all reality neat, that also means we can be open to everything reality can be and has to offer. If we're blind to reality, and we don't have prejudices in relationship to reality, then we can be open to all the different kinds of possibilities in relationship to reality. Think of the epistemology of modern science. According to modern science, if we don't have biases, and if we let go of our prejudices, then we can discover the true nature of nature or being, right? If we have those prejudices, then they're going to distort and obfuscate our ability to relate to nature or being. Isn't that the point of modern science? So similar to modern science, and we're all talking about the same thing here. When you're talking about modern science, modern law, modern capitalism, it's all the same thing ultimately, okay? It's all the same thing. Isn't that how liberals view culture too? Liberals view culture in the same way. According to liberals, we are biased in our culture, okay? Because our cultural biases blinds us from discovering the new malleable cultural whatever realities that we can establish and create. And to do this requires us to be unbiased modern liberal subjects who are abstracted from our communities and families and all this kind of stuff. You get it? So this is elementary modernity. Okay, now we're going to move on to the commodity. We're going to move on from money right now. Briefly, we're going to move on from money. Commodity. I'm going to do this very briefly. This is going to be nowhere near as long, and I'm only doing this so we can return to the other money part. This one's going to be really quick. Commodity. Now, it's a simple question. What is a commodity? It's simple. What is a commodity, guys? Commodity is a very simple thing, actually. Well, it's so good night. See you later, Mr. Cyber. Shout out Mr. Cyber. He's coming from Russia. So it's late, I guess. See you later, man. Appreciate you being here. What is a commodity? It's very simple. Why do I represent commodities as boxes? Why do I do that? Something to exchange? Nope, not quite. A good? Yes, but let's be more specific. What is a commodity? A commodity is a form. It is a form. You see? Commodity is a form. So, what is it that turns some type of content, grain, into a form? This is our question for this little part. What is it that turns a content, some material thing, into a form, commodity form? Well, first of all, a commodity begins and ends with something, defining it. So, this is how I'm going to represent formlessness, this little squiggly line. Okay, this is the piece of grain. No, I'm not talking about labor yet. We're not getting into labor. We're coming at this from the bottom. Begins with something defining it. Not labor, no. Maybe in actual reality, it's what defines it, like in material reality, but I'm talking about in terms of as insofar as it's a commodity. And for it to be a commodity, it has to be recognized superficially. My mind took a tangent thinking of Protestant sola fide silla subscripta in relation to this, where justification is adherence to a standard of belief, not through individual acts. Exactly, Bearer. Why? Why is that though, Bearer? Because through our individual acts, we're already sinful in this world of total depravity. There you go. That's the difference between Protestantism and Catholicism. By the way, guys, I'm going to drop this in here. Food for thought. What was the French Revolution if not a return to Catholicism? The French Revolution returned to man as a determinate material reality, and the British saw the French Revolution, the British Protestants, and they said, no, the French are metaphysically too partial and prejudiced. The British said, because according to the Anglo metaphysics, the absolute, the God, whatever, the thing is completely abstract, blind from any humanity, from any determinate form whatsoever. So the English are anti-humanistic. That's the kind of philosophical or metaphysical struggle going on with the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. Just some food for thought, right? I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Okay. So, begins and ends with something. Begins, so, begins here and ends. Begins and ends with something. Premise and conclusion. Premise and conclusion of some kind. What is the premise and conclusion that gives rise to the commodity form? Well, it's very simple. The first question you have to ask is, maybe the only question you got to ask, how is the commodity form measured? How is this form measured? It's simple. It's measured through currency. See? This is measured with this. What does this presuppose? What did we just say before? Do you guys remember what we said money is? Remember the abstraction we just talked about, the division, the polity's authority and dominion over reality. How does that dominion exercised? Because the polity inserts itself as both the premise and the conclusion all over all of being. The premise and the conclusion. And this, don't dwell too deep onto this, there's so many fucking arrows. This is the commodity form. The commodity form is represented in terms of the currency. Do you guys, does commodity form make sense? This is pretty much all I want to say about commodities. So basically something you put money into to get more money out of. That's not how I define it at all. I simply said a commodity is a form. A form begins with a premise and a conclusion. The premise and the conclusion here is represented abstractly as the polity. The polity. The commodity form is defined by the way in which the polity is abstracted out of the people, land, and things it exercises dominion over. I know that's a lot of words, but bear with me here. It's all going to rope together. I had to go back to your take on the French Revolution, and it's kind of an Anglo take. Why is it an Anglo take, Kermaz? Kermaz, why is it an Anglo take? Explain. Explain before I get to money. This is our next thing we gotta do. So we're just gonna set this up while we wait. What the fuck is this thing? This is our little question right here. A big part of the French Revolution was about rejecting that anyone is better than anyone else from the birthright or being chosen by God. Right. But also, Kirmiz, it was also about recognition of man as an actual reality. Now this man might be abstract man, universal man, but before the French Revolution, there was no man. There was just the world of Protestant total depravity. That's where I'm coming from. Okay, what the fuck is this little thing right here? Right here. This third part of MCM. Remember, guys, what we're working with. We're working with MCM. This is like Heidegger for dummies. Kind of. What is capital, right? MCM. This is the third component. We covered the first two. This is the third. What is this little fucking thingy? What is this? We just talked about commodities. Sorry, we just talked about money and we just talked about commodity, right? It's all related, by the way. What is this little thingy? Well, it's more money. Simple, right? It's more money. Here's the toughest part for me, because I'm doing this all at the top of my head, and we gotta rope this all together back with the original thing. So the first thing we're gonna think is, okay, more money means money taken from somewhere else. True, though, isn't it? True. At least we think so. according to our common sense. Money taken from somewhere else. Which means we're going to go back to Neon and Ray. Our friends Neon and Ray. So we have the capitalist now, Neon right here. And we got the other capitalist now, Ray. We got Ray right here. Who's got this little M, right? M means that Ray had $4 and there's $4 in total circulation. Remember, guys, at any given moment, the amount of currency, what we just talked about as money, is finite. That is in circulation. At any given moment, the amount of currency in circulation is finite. When there was the gold standard, it was almost eternally finite. With Bitcoin, they want to make it eternally finite with only a cap on 20 million. With fiat, they can always print more. But if you freeze time and stop time at any given moment, there's always a finite amount of currency in circulation. We all know that, right? So if, let's say the total amount of money in circulation is 5 salt bucks, because these are the 2 saltiest people we have on our channel. These are salt bucks. Only 5 exist. Remember, the amount of money in circulation is always finite. Only 5 in circulation. So here's what happens. This little thingy means more money. What that means is that Neon right here and Ray right here, Neon invests his little money into something. More or less, this is how it's going to work. This is how it works, right? He invests his money into something in order to get more money. But that money has to come from somewhere if the amount of money in circulation is finite. And it's going to come from Ray, for example, right? This is the commodity. That's what happens, right? This is the MCM. Make sense? So he invested his little salt buck into a commodity, and in return, Ray gave him, or someone gave him somehow. Remember, the amount of money is finite, so someone's a loser here. He's getting Ray's salt buck. Now he has 2 and Ray has 3. So the proportion changed. Proportion changed. Proportion changed. You understand? Wouldn't Neon give $1 for the commodity? Yeah, but that made him, he got a profit from that sum. Oh, you're right. He got 2 of them. Sorry, you're 100% right. He got 2 of them. Yeah, he put in 1 for a commodity. Ray gave him 2. Is this what Marx is getting at in his theory of value? Is this the meaning of capital for Marx? Well, this is definitely what it's initially going to look like. But when it comes to modern capitalism, modern industrial capitalism, the story doesn't end here. Guys, you know what's going on with the trade imbalances between countries? This is something that's happening between countries. You want to know what's going on with these trade wars? It's more or less this fact. There's a finite amount of money in circulation, basically. I'm really simplifying it. A finite instantiation of value. But for Marx, ultimately, this is not enough. This is all true. This is all true here, right? But the story doesn't end here for Marx. For Marx. Why is that? But for Marx, is a proxy for surplus value. But how can there be a surplus? How can there be a surplus when there is merely a change in proportion? Isn't this an interesting question? Why does Marx represent it as a surplus value when there's merely, at the individual level of a capitalist, a change in the total proportion of money? Isn't this a good question or no? What do you think? Would you guys ask this question? I never see anyone ask this question. How can there be a surplus when there is merely a change in proportion? Well, here's the reason why this thinking is flawed. Here's the reason why this question misunderstands Marx. Forget about the workers, Leonardo. I'm not talking about labor and I'm not talking about workers right now. That's this. Don't ever speak in ideological terms. Forget ideology. We want to bring up the workers because we have a political agenda to say that the workers create all value, and then we can run home and say, yeah, no. Forget labor, forget workers, totally. Forget it totally. I don't want you to think about workers. I don't want you to think about labor. None of that. We're going back to the basics from scratch. Then we'll get into workers. Things just don't pop into existence from thought. Kirmiz, but we're not talking about how they come into existence. We're speaking from the perspective of a capitalist or a layman. We're not going to involve labor. We're not going to involve workers yet. Because it's how societies allocate labor. No. The fact that money came ex nihilo. No. Here's the reason why the question misunderstands Marx. This is what I want to drive home before we talk about workers and before we talk about laborers. I want to drive this point home. The question is individualistic. The question is individualistic. Question is individualistic. You understand the problem now? The question is individualistic because for Marx, ultimately, MCM is at the scale of the polity, not individuals. What is the implication of this? It's very simple. We just established that at the individual level, what's going on with MCM is that Neon put his salt bucks into a commodity. In turn, selling that commodity yielded him two salt bucks. He got his M. So the question is, why do we speak of surplus value and why do we speak of M, this little thingy right here, when there has been merely a change in proportion? The reason this is a wrong question and wrong way of looking at it is because it's individualistic. Because MCM is not simply happening at the neon's level. It is, yes. But for Marx, ultimately, it is happening at the scale of the polity, not individuals. A quick aside. Some ways people look at this. Specifically, Nick Land. It's simple as this. For Nick, for Land, money is forwarded into technological means of production, and the revolution in the forces of production is the source of the surplus value. This is why it's not merely a proportional change. For Nick Land, for someone like Nick Land, for example, and I'm sure there's others who interpret it this way. For him, money is forwarded into technological means of production, research and science. I know I'm botching it and shit, I'm trying to simplify it. And this is the source of surplus value. What is the source of the surplus value? Instead of a merely proportional change, new value and new wealth is created by a change in reality itself. Technological change. Do you guys understand this way of looking at it as a way to solve the previous question? Even though at individual levels, it just seems like the proportion of the total money supply is just being redistributed, at some fundamental level, there is more value being created at the scale of society as a whole. Not the individual, but society as a whole. The way people like Nick Land understand it is the change in the technological means of production. And that revolution in the forces of production is the source of the surplus value, more or less. Instead of a merely proportional change, new value and new wealth is created by a change in reality itself, technological change. Because that kind of change is tangible. If there's no technological change, then the amount and quality of goods and services is going to remain constant over time. But if there's a change in the very nature of reality, that's going to reflect in terms of value. Does this imply that if there is no technological change, there is no surplus value? Robert, according to this Landian view, the Nick Land view, but doesn't things like automation should make surplus smaller? I think Land rejects that view. I agree with your view, Neat. I'm going to explain why I disagree with Land, but let's just stay to Land's view. His view is that this is not true. For Nick Land, automation and constant technological revolution in the forces of production makes capitalism infinite. Infinite. Does this imply that there's no... So, okay, it doesn't imply that because there's some issues with Land's view. Well, maybe not, but I want to add something to Land's view, okay? I want to add something to Land's view that's not there before. Actually, and I think Land himself knows that, the revolution in the forces of production is not happening at an individual level. So let me just put this here. Actually, let's get rid of all this. This revolution in the forces of production is not happening at an individual level. Meaning, one capitalist, okay, putting this here, this is something you got to bear in mind. Individual capitalists do not create revolutions in the forces of production or the necessary technological change that could possibly correspond to surplus value. Why is this, by the way? Why is this? How does Land define surplus value? I don't want to put words into his mouth. I'm just telling you how I read Land, right? For me, I don't know if he agrees with the word surplus value at all. But for him, roughly speaking, it's the revolution in the forces of production that is the reason why there's a surplus being created, rather than just a finite amount of value in circulation. Land completely gets rid of labor from the equation. I mean, there's a real accumulation of things, though. Yes, but if there's an accumulation of only things, then at a certain point, this will not correspond to a real qualitative change, only a quantitative one, eugenics. That's quantitative change, not qualitative. The mere quantitative change that you're talking about puts a cap, eventually will put a cap on the amount of surplus value is being created. And the reason for that, eugenics kun, there's a specific reason for that, eugenics kun. Monetary systems have difficulty because I know, dude. Don't get into all this shit. You're just going to confuse me. I know, okay? I know. Don't get into fiat and all this complicated shit. You're just way going to complicate it, derail it way too much. All I'm going to tell you is that at a certain point, the manner by which this quantitative change can be registered at the level of qualitative commodity form reaches a limit. In other words, it becomes a type of bad infinity in which it's the crisis of overproduction described by Marx. It's the crisis of overproduction. But I don't want to introduce all these terms and all these phrases and all these ideas because we're nowhere near that yet, okay? So let's not get ahead of ourselves and let's just focus on this right now because I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, okay? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You don't fill in the blanks 500 steps forward because those could be wrong. There may be premises you're not thinking about. Let's just focus on this very simple thing we're on. And if you're not following me, say so and I'll clarify it. I want us to begin at a simple level, focus on things way more simply, okay? Individual capitalists do not create revolutions in the forces of production because this can only happen, the scale at which this revolution is possible, in the forces of production, tech revolution is possible, can only encompass society, polity as a whole. It is a historical revolution. Why? Why is it only a historical revolution? And it's not a revolution that's merely happening. For example, I'm a capitalist, right? And I'm forwarding money into goods and yielding a profit. Is what the capitalist is doing, let's represent it this way. We're gonna go back to Neon or someone until I find a better name to use, okay? When you have Neon here, capitalist, he's gonna forward some money. He's gonna forward some money into commodities to yield. He had 4, so we're gonna do 5. This is his surplus right here. Because technological innovations happen through society as well. I know, but we have to get to why. There is some planning going on. Not quite. That's not quite the reason, actually. It's actually a lot more simple. And it's like this, right? M, C, and M. Now, insofar, M is this surplus right here. Insofar as this is a real surplus, and not merely a reallocation of the finite money supply, insofar as that's the case, then this capitalist guy must be reaping the rewards of something that already happened. Must be reaping the rewards of something that already happened. For this to be real surplus, it must be reaping the rewards of something that already happened. That something can be technology. For example, the factory or the technology or whatever that's allowing this to happen. But it has to have already happened. If it's in the process of happening, you're talking about a loss. He's not going to make a profit. That's why, interestingly, big tech companies, Google, Amazon, etc., will forward investment into technological research initially at a loss. So many of these big tech companies even begin at a loss. Elon Musk, who actually you can maybe be said to be saying directly creating new technologies, he's initially going to be operating at a loss. Henry Ford might have been the first example of this type of American capitalist. But the British one, so to speak, does not create revolutions in the forces of production. They merely benefit from one that had already occurred in a previous point in time. Now, the Henry Fords and the Elon Musks and the Googles and Amazons, they do, in fact, maybe take risks with a new technology or forward investments into technological research. But they only do so insofar as they are already, in a sense, operating beyond 19th century capitalism, the abstraction that's relevant for Marx. This is why I call American century a socialistic century. This is also why I disagree with Nick Land's view. To me, the flaw in Nick Land's view is that he does not properly define revolution in the forces of production. For example, corporations do invest in something called technological innovation. But these epicycles of technological change do not offset tendency for the rate of profit to fall, nor do they correspond to a true revolution in the forces of production. They merely bear witness to one that had already occurred. Isn't the word tech a little strange, you guys? Do you find the word tech a little strange, or what? The flaw in Land's view, he doesn't properly define the revolution in the forces of production. Corporations do invest in something called technological change, but these epicycles of technological change that we're witnessing, whether through government investment or through corporate investment, do not offset the falling rate of profit, nor do they correspond to a true revolution in the forces of production. They merely, again, bear witness to one that had already occurred. Let's elaborate on that a little bit. Well, we really are in some deep water. We have to elaborate on it, right? If we leave it like that, we haven't really made any kind of argument. We're at the issue of time right now. We're at the issue of the view of reading Marx's Capital from the perspective of time. This is where there's a flaw. For there to be surplus value, the thing that gives rise to surplus value had to have already happened before. A capitalist or a government or a corporation does not listen. MCM does not properly correspond at the individual level to value, tech, labor, etc., surplus value. You see my point? At an individual level, there's a discontinuity. There is a discontinuity between these two. This happens at an individual level. This merely reallocates at the individual level is what I'm talking about. This one, at the individual level, merely reallocates the finite amount of value that's already in circulation. This one is expressed only at the level of the aggregate, according to Marx. This one is only expressed at the aggregate level, according to Marx. What that means is that the aggregate total of profits being made across society as a whole is the only manifestation and expression of this circuit, value and then labor, tech, however you want to look at it, and surplus value. That's only being expressed at the aggregate level. At the individual level, it's not being expressed. This is a really important point about Marx's Capital. This is exactly why all of the controversies in Marx's Capital exist. The transformation problem. What's another big one? Transformation is like the biggest one, right? What are some other problems? I forget the other ones. There's the transformation problem. There's whatever. It all goes back to the discontinuity between these two. People make the mistake of assuming there's no discontinuity. By the way, guys, this is the same reason why Americans individualize capitalism. They say Google engineers are workers, prostitutes are workers, they individualize it, and they don't understand that this is happening at some kind of aggregate, macro level, historical level. Okay, but we're gonna qualify. We just kind of went on a little bit of a detour beforehand. We're going to qualify what we said before. Discontinuity between what? Based Mango. There's a discontinuity between money, commodity, money at the level of the individual capitalist and value, labor, or technology, however you want to look at it, in the Landian view or the classical Marxist view, and surplus value. These are not the same thing. One of them is expressed only at the aggregate level of a polity or society as a whole. The other one is expressed only at the level of an individual capitalist. Okay, that's the issue. That is the issue at the heart of contemporary Marxism. It's literally this. It's literally that discontinuity. Okay, that's the transformation problem too, at its essence. That's the essence of the transformation issue. What we said before was that. What did I say before? Okay, the epicycle thing. Yeah, that's right. The reason why this doesn't offset the falling rate of profit. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to get into. Sorry, I just remembered. What is this buzzword? Technology and innovation. These are epicycles domesticated by corporate institutions and big tech. Google, Amazon, etc. This is what I wanted to get to. Furthering the critique. Just remembered it. See, guys? If I have brain fog, it's not because I'm bluffing. I literally am just forgetting. Buzzwords are very common in the corporate sector, yes. But what is this really referring to? Well, it is not technology or innovation in the abstract. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled by the buzzwords. They have not captured the essence of transformations in the forces of production. Technology and innovation as a buzzword is referring to something actually very specific and historically specific. What it actually means, what it actually is referring to is more or less cybernetics, a paradigm, began after World War II. Heidegger has something about technology and cybernetics and all this kind of stuff, but there is no reason to think that these corporations and these big tech companies have actually arrived at the essence of what technology or innovation or revolutions in the forces of production are. Why? Let's get to why. The reason is because a revolution in the forces of production happens furthest threshold defining mankind's or a polity relation to nature and itself as a whole. Uber didn't fucking do that. Google doesn't fucking do that. The newest iPhone doesn't fucking do that. Because from top to bottom. Because the real revolution in the forces of production happens from the top to bottom. At the level of Anthropocene, geological level today, our geological and ecological level, the deepest possible relation to both nature and mankind a polity actually has. This is some really complicated shit. So I am expecting some of you guys to at least ask me to elaborate on this, because I don't really think everyone's just going to get what this means at first. On the one hand, Google can invest money and funds into innovation research. What Google cannot do is initiate voluntarily a fundamental revolution in the forces of production that happens at the deepest and most fundamental material level, in which mankind possesses some kind of relationship to both nature and itself. In what sense in relationship to nature? Technology is a revolution in the forces of production. How production organized? No, it's a revolution in the forces of production, which means how organizations, society's organization, for example, and institutions relate to people. How are people and institutions and the organization related? The second one is, how is our technique, our technology, and our society related to nature itself? This is something that is primary, that we can only relate to consciously as actors, as modern subjects, after it has already happened. We cannot voluntarily initiate a revolution in the forces of production. We cannot. We can only presuppose one that has already existed. And the reason for that is because it's an epistemological problem. I don't want to complicate this too much, but it's an epistemological problem. Here's the issue. For us to be able to voluntarily initiate revolution in the forces of production, this assumes we can be aware of the very range of possibility that defines mankind's relation to nature. This is the prejudice of modern science. Modern science thinks this. I think it's wrong. You can't. You can only do it in a kind of vacuum-sealed environment. But on this deeper level, this is a very Heideggerian point, you can never be preemptively aware. It can only sneak up on you. And this is a kind of more complicated philosophical point. It can only happen already. After it happens, then we can think about it. It defines mankind's relation to nature. In reality, the true revolution in the forces of production is the one that redefines our knowledge of the range of possibility in the first place. This is how it's simplified, actually. Right here, this little big paragraph. Read this, guys. This is how I put it. For us to be able to voluntarily initiate revolution in the forces of production, this assumes we can be aware of the very range of possibility, that defines mankind's relationship to nature. So, for example, I'm a scientist, and an engineer. Google is funding me to innovate, to make products. But if I'm a scientist, then I am limited. My hypothesis, my imagination is limited. Okay? A true revolution in the forces of production increases the threshold of what it is we consider possible and impossible. But if I'm just a scientist or an engineer or some kind of tech guy, I can't actually initiate a real change in the forces of production. I can only work with what has already been established by precedent as possible. Now you can say, well, you can engage in experimentations. You're right. I can engage in experimentations, new experimentations, to touch upon the range of possibility. But even the range of what I consider possible experimentally is finite and limited by the true threshold defining mankind's relationship to nature and itself. That's my point. That's why I reject modern science. To me, modern science thinks, and the paradigm of technology thinks that in general, by experimenting, it can arrive at truly novel insights. To me, the novel insights arrived at by modern science are already predefined by a definite historical threshold that are merely being wrought out. There's no true modern science that really establishes a most fundamental relation between mankind and nature. The Heideggerian point would be that our relationship to nature comes first and is primary. We can only react to it and reap the fruits and rewards of it. This was a big detour about Nick Land. This is some ways people look at it. Technological change. So after all this critique, I know this is not satisfactory. This is an introduction stream, guys. It's an introduction stream, okay? Ultimately, it is not only superficial technological change that gives rise to a true surplus value. The change is also, let's say, historical change, ontological or metaphysical relation to nature. Demotic people, demos, relation between institutions and the people. And what else am I missing? Epistemic, threshold defining range of possibility, what is possible in physical reality. Technology is the icing on the cake of all this. You see? This is what we're talking about when we're talking about the real revolution in the forces of production that gives rise to the surplus. So, in conclusion, there's way more I have to say on this, but this is just the introduction. And we will say more on it another time. I don't know if it'll be next stream. It depends on demand. If the chat demands more, I'll give the chat what they want. If people watching this want more, we'll give them what they want. But, wrapping up, we're going to wrap this up. MCM can be very misleading because of the assumption it implies via language of temporal sequence. In reality, you probably never read any Marx. Chaz Daz, the fucking idiot, comes on my streams to troll me. He just wants to troll me. Whatever. What do you have to say, Chaz Daz? Before I wrap this up, what do you have to say, Chaz Daz? Explain how I never read Marx. I've never read any Marx. I've never read any Marx, you fucking idiot. Chaz Daz, you fucking moron. Who is this guy? So this is the hater we're working with. Y'all ready for this? This is the hater we're working with. Ready? You talking about everything about spirits and abstractions like just go do a revolution, lol. Okay, he's trying to troll me. But Chaz Daz, you have a pedophilic type of smile. And I don't else know what to say. You have a weird fucking smile right here. And who are you to judge me saying I can't read Marx when you look like this? Who are you to judge me, huh? The audacity I haven't read Marx. You talk about everything like spirits and abstractions. Marx talked about the same fucking way, idiot. Go look at what he said about commodity fetishism, dumbass. Go read his fucking notes. Go read Grundrisse, whatever the fuck you say. Go read anything by Marx, you dumb shit. Chaz Daz, you fucking idiot. That's not him. I don't know who the fuck this is, man. But this wanna come at me, I'm gonna come at you right back. Don't diss it. Alright, fine, I'm not gonna diss it, okay? I'm not gonna diss it. Not gonna diss it. Okay, we're gonna go back. Distraction. I'm saying these distractions. Look, guys, like I said before, infrared's not going anywhere. The left will reckon with infrared. You understand? We're not going nowhere, okay? The hater's gonna come, try to discourage me and shit. You suck my dick, bitch. How about that? Because of the assumption it implies of temporal sequence. You understand? Back on track. Okay. Because, why? In reality, the range of surplus value is already created and established beforehand in time by prior revolution in forces of production. Labor, all this stuff, I'm not going to get into labor here. Labor is for another stream. That's way more complicated. We're just going to cap it like this. Labor, tech, and all that good stuff realizes a threshold established beforehand in time. Now, I'm not going to conclude it with this. We have to conclude it with something better. This is off the top of my head, guys, okay? So, we're going to conclude MCM. MCM should not be understood voluntaristically. In fact, it is profoundly conservative circuit. It is not related to some unstoppable thirst for profit. This is Freudian jurisdiction that should not be confused for Marx. Desire, drive, and all that good stuff. despite related. They are related, but don't confuse them. So, when people tell you on YouTube, capital's growth is just infinite growth, there's a finite amount of resources, but there's an infinite desire for growth and profit, well, this is actually not a proper understanding of what capital or capitalism is. Could you explain Lenin and her Luxembourg theories on imperialism? Because a lot of people use their definition to say China is imperialist. We'll have to get to that another stream, you know. This is not going to be a 5-hour stream. So I just wanted to introduction to capital. But I could also do an introduction to imperialism, or I could do capital part 2. I'm still confused about the fact that it doesn't correspond to the individual level. Yeah, that's the crux of it. But it's as simple as this fact. At the level of an individual capitalist, all you're doing is reallocating the amount of value that's already instanced. Meanwhile, the real circuit, the wider circuit that produces surplus value is actually happening at an aggregate level, not an individual one. Okay, anyway, MCM should not be understood voluntaristically. In fact, it is a profoundly conservative circuit. And the reason for that is because the surplus is already latent. MCM just realizes something that was already there. Just by being. And this is the final thing I want you guys to think about. And this is gonna, even Hakim, what he said about the finite resources and stuff, I'm gonna be disagreeing with that. Because I'm gonna say this. Dialectic thinking allows you to see that merely by subsisting, humanity produces an excess and a surplus. Why? Because we actually do not know what we are and what nature is. The surplus reveals to us something about being. If being was a closed circuit, there would be no change. There would be no ecological crisis. There would be no infinite growth. Humanity cannot stop growing because we actually do not know what we are. We don't know what nature is. We haven't exhausted it. We haven't completely mastered it, and we never will. Never will. There will always be a surplus or an excess of some kind. Marx is a first investigation putting this excess, this surplus, under interrogation in the form of capital. Rate this stream, guys, in the chat. What do you think out of 10? I'm fine with a 6, I just want to get you guys' mind rolling. This is all off the top of my head, so please be a little bit patient with me. At least I introduced it to you in a new way, right? Why does Lefty Poll... Should I go on Lefty Poll right now to wrap this up? See what these bitch-ass people are saying? Look at this guy already quoted me like this. Already fucking quoted me. When infrared proved we can defeat mass energy conversion. How is that anything to do with mass energy conversion, you fucking idiot? You can't know what the mass and the energy is in total. You don't fucking know it preemptively, you dumb fuck. Respond to me on this shit, bitch. How do you not mention CMC? Because it's all off the top of my fucking head, but I pretty much did mention CMC when I talked about the pre-capitalist societies. Idiot. Fucking more. I want to see this Jimmy Neutron fucking idiot. I want to see the Jimmy Neutron retard. What does this have to do with mass energy conversion, you fucking idiot? What does that have to do with that? Matter cannot be... So, you are assuming you know the total... You know what matter is then, right? You already know what matter is. You know the total amount of matter, and you can actually quantify it, according to you, right? You have a little book, and you know all the type of matter that exists, and you know it, right? I said it's an epistemological problem, you fucking moron. But you, according to you, just because there's only... It's like, why do you assume you know the amount of mass or energy that exists? Why do you assume that? Because you're a Western retard. I have a shitty microphone, otherwise I would. Debate me, bitch. Come fucking debate me. I don't care about your shitty microphone. Come fucking debate me, you pussy. Look at all these fucking people. Bitch. Modern science, the institutions of science pretty much should be rejected at this point because so much... Yeah, I agree. He actually thinks the profit motive is psychological. I'm saying you leftists only represent it in a psychologistic way. You always talk about this hunger for greed and infinite growth. This is a psychological problem. You are making an assumption when you talk about infinite growth. What about the great stagnation? What about the element of stagnation and decay? You only talk about infinite growth, but you never seem to fucking mention the falling rate of profit and the aspect of stagnation. Because you make an arrogant fucking leap, an Olympic leap, that you're not justified in fucking making, of assuming infinite growth in the abstract based on a finite and historical type of growth. Moron. How bourgeois science is corrupted, but rejecting modern... Because you didn't understand why I said I reject modern science, you fucking moron. It's about Anglo-modernity. But I didn't even get to any of that either. Already created and established beforehand. Yeah, I want you guys to wrap your head around that and think beyond linear sequentialistic time. Yes. Tell Infrared he hasn't read Marx. I bet your fucking ass I read Marx. Exactly. Exactly, bitch. Pussy. I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't care who it was. You understand? They exude energy in the chat, superimposed my interpretation of the picture. Yeah, so there's a circuit, right? Money spent to produce commodities, and those sold to give our money. Actually, this is misleading. Yes, you Marxists make the fucking misleading assumption. I didn't say Marx made it. You're making the assumption. Marx was simplifying it, but through capital, he clarifies what the fucking point is. You fucking idiot. He literally doesn't know. Yes, he did, because I'm talking in terms of epistemic about our knowledge in relation to this range of possibility. You fucking moron. That's why I said epistemic. All you guys look stupid as fuck. F, falling rate of profit has nothing to do with the amount of surplus value extracted. It has to do with the fact that there's no more surplus value to extract. It just becomes value. Dude, I'm so triggered by these pussies, man. They never want to come on and debate. Grow some fucking balls, come debate me, bitch. To combine it with Marxist theories of productive forces is really dumb move. Of course, I can conceive of revolutions of the forces of production. You can conceive of them only after they've happened. You can't voluntarily initiate them. That's a profoundly materialist and Marxist point. Beware of buzzwords that confuse people. Okay, well, I asked the chat if they're confused to clarify. So whose problem is that, you fucking frog idiot? Considering his butchering of Marx, I doubt his description of land is any more accurate. It's more or less in the ballpark, okay? Land, all this stuff about surplus and all this stuff, he might not agree. But it's in the ballpark, and that's all that fucking matters. And you have to show how I've butchered Marx, you fucking bitch. I've just presented it in a way you're not familiar with when you said I butchered Marx. The finite resources thing is so stupid anyway. I know, dude, it's Malthusian retard fucking... He talked about the conservation of matter and energy. What a fucking moron. Something on top. Yeah, I get it. You're scared about words you're not familiar with, and you're just admitting you're a dumbass, and somehow that makes you the cool guy, and not a fucking self-admitted retard. MCM does not correspond to the individual level. How does it not? Don't take my words out of context. It does correspond at the individual level. It does. But what the more essential thing going on with value and surplus value is at the aggregate of society. That's what I was trying to fucking say. If you read me in bad faith, you wouldn't say this dumb shit. If you read me in good faith, you wouldn't ask this question. All I'm saying is that the thing about surplus value and value is happening at the aggregate level. And this is Marxism 101, by the way. It's not even a heterodox view. It's Marxism 101. He's going into Nick Land now, a change in reality itself. Yes, well, that's why is there new value in an intuitive level? Because something changes in reality and the money corresponds to that. There's a qualitative change, not just a quantitative redistribution of the finite amount of money that exists. There's a change in reality itself, and according for land, at least as far as I know about land, that's what corresponds to value. Any simplification, I know, dude, any simplification is going to be wrong. You just have to go with what I'm trying to say and let it lead you in a certain direction. Most of the stream wasn't even remotely heterodox, I know, but you still have people harassing me because this is all neons and the pussy Ray coming after me, both of them. Okay, and why is this, I'm just trying to simplify it, guys. Visual aids, okay, well, you make a better stream than me. You get a stream with 40 people and this amount of likes and this amount of positive feedback, and then come compare with me. You do better than me, bitch. You know, all you guys on this website, Lefty Pool, you guys got to understand, I'm out here representing basically your little, you know, Marxism, Lenin, all this stuff. All these things that are only being circulated on your dumb little shit in the West. I'm out here putting myself out here, and infrared's going to grow, and we're going to be the ones representing this. Whether you fucking bitch-ass people like it or not, we're going to be the ones participating, representing this. You're going to be behind your fucking keyboard on this dark website, bitching and complaining like you've always done. You know what I'm saying? You better not get it mixed up what's going on here. What kind of relationship we have to your bitch-ass website. Because he very obviously has not read Marx. They're trying to troll me. They're trying to troll me. There is an objective quality to knowledge. You fucking idiot. No one would say, not a scientist, no one in the fucking world but a fucking idiot would say that you can have knowledge over all of reality. You can't. There's things you don't know. Simple as that. Simple as that. I'm not talking about objective quality. This is all bullshit from Lenin's empiricist criticism. He already covered it. Okay? Yes, knowledge can have an objective quality. But at the same time, it's still going to be relativistic because there's a discontinuity between knowledge and material reality. And it's never going to be one thing. This is very simple materialism. Haz, you don't know what epistemology is? Shove it up your ass, bitch. Why do you think we just create surplus value willy-nilly? When did I say that? I said the opposite. What? You're not compelled to do it. You're individualizing Marxist capital for your own personal fucking melodrama because you're a fucking loser in real life. You're personalizing it. It's not a fucking excuse. Come debate me, you pussy. How is a motive a material force? I didn't say it was a material force. Why do people put words in my fucking mouth? When did I say it's a material force? All I said... Oh, it's a different guy. Sorry. Profit motive is based on the way capital has to function. Listen, guys. Ultimately, when you're talking about profit motive and capitalism, you are talking about individuals. Capitalism doesn't exist on its own. For capitalism to function, this is all being mediated through individuals. This is why Marxists never had a good idea of subjectivity, never had a good theory of subjectivity. That's why they turned to Freud, because you have no understanding of subjectivity whatsoever. Profit motive is based on the way capitalism has to function. Who is capitalism? Let me talk to him on the phone. I have my phone here. Give me the number of capitalism, and I'm going to call them and I'm going to start yelling at them. That's how fucking stupid you sound, you fucking moron. What is capitalism if not being mediated through individuals? You fucking excuse-making bitch. You're like these fucking leftists on the internet who's like, oh, the institutionalized capital. Capital's making... You're just making excuses for your own individual shortcoming. Oh, it's almost like Ayn Rand was right. You just keep referring to these macro-social shit as an excuse to bypass the question of subjectivity and the individual. In your sense of it, Anan, whatever the fuck your number, 66628, capitalism doesn't even fucking exist. Okay? How about that? Because of competitive context. But why is there people... all I said was that the drive for money and money's own sake and the infinite growth thing, these are all psychologistic critiques, not up the ballpark of having a more fundamental understanding of Marx. If the oil supplier holds their... yeah, I know. This is a different question. I'm not going to get into this complicated shit. Libs go apeshit. I know, dude. It's fucking lib website. What's up with that? Bunch of fucking libs, dude. I'm triggered by these pussies. What does that make Haz then? Yeah, I'm triggered by pussies like you existing. Debate me. Why would anyone debate someone who makes some all-man? So you come out in the open and do this, you fucking bitch. You're spending your time on a website called Lefty Pool. I'm out here in the light of day, reaching a wider audience than you ever fucking will. You compete with me, bitch. You get on my fucking level. This guy's schizophrenic or something? Fixation on neon is that he actually is. No, I just don't have another name that everyone else knows and is familiar with that I can use. And it was a fucking joke. Jesus Christ. Let me joke with my audience. Majority of my people are my people. You bunch of little bitches in the minority complaining. The ones who follow the program succeed and survive. It's not psychological at all. That doesn't have a psychological correlate or component at all. Are you stupid or what? There's no psychological anything involved in that, what you just said. You just explained why it's psychological, you fucking idiot. Or are you saying it's just a matter of survival? Well, 99% of people don't do what you're saying and they still survive physically. So What is your point? You're trying to bring in Darwin. You sound like a fucking moron. How is it not psychological at all? Is it psychological? What an idiot. It's subjective. It's not subjective. I didn't say it's subjective, you fucking moron. I said Marxists don't have any view of... You're the ones who brought this in. I was taking your side at first. I was saying the psychologistic stuff, put it aside. Let's just focus on Marxism. But now you guys are coming and saying that psychology has nothing to do with any of this and there's no psychological reality. Well, that's why Marxists have a dipshit understanding of subjectivity. They don't have one at all. This is all bullshit anyway. Capital generates value. That's a different story. You're getting into more complicated territory. I was just trying to... This was an introduction to capital. Haas, I think your problem I have with your presentation was that you really seem to imply that machines create new value. I never implied that. I said that was Nick Land's view, and that is Nick Land's view. I said I disagree with that view. I didn't get into labor because it's a way more complicated conversation. I never said machines can produce new value. I said Nick Land thought that was the case, and I disagree with that. Okay, I'm done with this. That's it. That's all the laughs you're going to get out of me today. Okay? That's all the fucking milking you're going to get from this. I know this is what gets the good views, right? But I don't give a fuck. Congrats, you triggered me. Nobody ever wants to debate me, man. Nobody wants to debate me. All pussies. All pussies. Haas, where can I learn more about Marxist theory to get subjectivities? It's self-evident, dude. They don't have any theory of subjectivity. They don't explain to people. That's why Marxists fail in this world, you know? That's why people like Zizek do well and Marxists are failing. It's okay, guys. You know, I gotta eat. So I'm gonna head off. But see you guys later. Most of you guys fine.